Okay, I'm not going to take the pump from the gearbox. I'm just going to try and take the gearbox apart while it's still connected to the pump. Okay, if you're going to leave the pump on there, it's best to probably go ahead, get an Allen wrench and take your fan off of the pulley. Okay, you have to have a pair of these in order to get this off from here. Once it's off, you can just pull this off, get it out of the way. What's your keyway? Your keyway's inside there, so don't lose your keyway, or it may be stuck to the shaft. Either way, don't lose that keyway. Okay, now that I got the brake wheel off, I'm going to remove each one of these, and all of these little ones, all the way around it, and then try and split this gear case and see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, I got all the screws out. I put a small crowbar up here in this space and actually split the case. So I'm going to take it on apart and see what falls out. Wow, this thing is nasty. Looks like all old grease. I haven't seen any bad parts yet, but I'll look around and see what I can find. Okay, all that is still fresh grease. I'll just pack more grease back in there with this. It looks nasty, but it's still pliable. I found out what the problem was. It was this gear right here. If I pull it out, as you can see, it's wore down. The teeth are pretty much gone around it in some places. Let me get a better look here. See, you can see the teeth, and then they disappear. I'm hoping I can get this part. Okay, that little gear on top of that big gear is actually made onto that big gear, but now when you order these, it comes separately. I actually had to order the small gear separate from the big gear, and these cost me close to $40 each. I went ahead and took my press and pressed the bearing off. I'm going to reuse these bearings because the bearings, this bearings still feel and look good. These were like almost $14 a piece. After shipping, they would cost you probably about $35, close to $40 for two of them. But these look good, and where the tractor only does like 6 miles an hour top speed, yeah, it's not going to be an issue. So we'll take this on out and we'll put the other gears on top of it and install it. Here's we'll put the small one on, and we'll put the big one on. Make sure the teeth go on first. Okay, and then we have this washer right here that has to go on. Then we'll take, you don't really need a press to put that on, but I'm going to put that back on with a press. I didn't press that back on with my press. I actually took a rubber hammer, put it on top of it, and hit the top of this rubber hammer with another hammer, and it went right on. I purchased high temperature gear grease, but you really don't need high temperature. It was just inexpensive. Okay, I got it packed with grease. This one here, I used the putty knife. I used as much of the grease as I could. Looks like I got a little left over. I got this side also greased up. I'm going to put it back together, bolt it in. Right there's the hole that the bearing goes in. Right there's the bearing. It should pop right in there. We got the two halves back together, but now we got to run these bolts in, and we'll run them in a little at a time just to pull the gearbox together to make sure it don't bind. Okay, all the bolts are tightened up, tightened down. This will not move. because it's hooked up to the pump. But next, what we're going to do, we're going to put the spacer right in here, because this is where the brake goes. Don't forget you got your keyway. Don't forget your keyway. It goes in there. Okay. So we're going to set that right down on there, just like that. Now we're going to put this clip on it. Okay, we got our lock pin on. Now let's not forget to put our fan on. Our fan will go on right here. The fan's back on. Took a 3/16 Allen wrench to take those Allen bolts out. Okay, everything looks good. Got everything back together. Now we're going to put it back on the tractor. Okay, it's all together. We're ready to put it back on. We're going to set it right up in there. And we're going to take our bolts and put them in and see if we can get it bolted down. Okay, it's bolted on. Now let's go ahead and put the spacers and the back bolts back in. Okay, let's get our brake out of the way. We had a spacer right here for the bolt. We're going to have another spacer come in right here with a longer bolt, and then we'll put another bolt in right here. Okay, now this big long bolt right here, it has two spacers. It's got one here and one here, and I'll show you what this one's for here in a second. Okay, in order to hook the rest of these up, in order for me to tighten this one up, I have another spacer here and a bolt here. So what I'm going to have to do, this nut's got to come off. This piece will have to be bolted up, and it will go right in here like this. And I only got one hand, so I'm going to have to use both of my hands to get this back together. Okay, I got it all tightened down. Make sure you put your gas line back underneath this spacer here, because that's how it came off. Now we'll hook up the brake line so the brake will work. Brake's back on, and we only got a couple more things to do, like put the hose on for the hydrostat and hook up a couple linkages, and we'll be ready to test this. Don't forget to slide this little bar in here. If you do forget, it'll slide in there. I just got mine in there. See how it just flips down? You can pull it right in there and then put your spring on it. Okay, now we'll hook up this linkage right here. Don't forget to put this spacer underneath your linkage when you bolt it up. You can see how the other side is bolted up. Just do this side the same way, and you'll be okay. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put our clamps on our hoses and put this hose on. Okay, before you hook your control arm up, go ahead and put your belt on. Yeah, just make sure your emergency brake is pulled so that you'll have plenty of tension so that you can put your belt on. Now we'll tighten the belt up. There it is, everything back together. I don't have any leftover bolts. For me, the hardest part about this job was waiting for the parts. Okay, the tire's on it. Let's go ahead and take it for a test drive and see how it works. Okay, there it is. ZTR 542 commercial. I've had it since 1993. I actually put a small 1.5 amp battery charger on the front. I mounted it so that way in the wintertime I can always keep my battery charged. I put the headlights in myself. It did not come with those headlights.